Corporate Social Responsibility Section 135, read with Company Corporate Social Responsibility Policy Rules 2014. Applicable to the company which fulfill any of the following criteria: the company having net worth of 500 crore or more, turnover of 100 crore or more, company having net profit of 5 crore or more. So 500 crore net worth, turnover 1000 crore, and net profit 5 crore. This includes the obligation for holding in subsidy as well as for the foreign companies who have branches or projects office in India. The cessation: if the company mentioned above do not specify the criteria for consecutive period of 3 years, need not to follow section 135. The CSR committee, on following of the any above criteria, CSR committee has to be formulated and shall have the disclosure in the board report. The composition shall be 3 director on shall at least one shall be independent director if such director is present and board of director for the purpose of 149 subsection 4. In case of private company where there are only 2 directors are present, then 2 directors shall be sufficient to form committee. In case of foreign company, 2 director can constitute the committee, of which one shall be resident director and other than nominated by the foreign company. Talking about the function of committee, it is supposed to formulate the policy to indicate the activities to be undertaken specified in schedule 7, which we'll be discussing, to recommend the amount of expenditure, to constitute a transparent monitoring system, monitor CSR policy from time to time. One of events such as any sort of ceremony, awards, marathons, charitable contribution, advertisement, sponsorship do not consider as CSR. Expense incurred by the company to fulfill any sort of statutory obligation, it's not a CSR. Any profit arising out of CSR shall not form the part of business profit. So, what sort of CSR activities can be considered to be undertaken by the company as per CSR policy, excluding the activities in normal course of business? Company may decide to take activities through Section 8 companies along by alone or along with another company. Section 8 company or the registered trust or society established by CG or central government entity established under the Act of Parliament, state legislation. So it can do all by himself or with together with multi companies. In Section 8 companies, any sort of trust or corporate society, the company should also check before taking CSR under these two, that Section 8 company or registered trust society shall have a track record of 3 years undertaking sector in undertaking such programs or project. I mean, they should also get engaged in the programs or project which they are planning to do CSR within. The CSR project in India shall only be qualified for CSR expenditure. Just a second. The CSR activities that benefit the employee of the company or its family shall not be treated as CSR. Company may build CSR capacity by their own as well as those of their implementing agencies or through institution establish the track record of 3 financial year, including the expenditure on administration overhead shall not be excess of 5% of the CSR activity of the company in 1 financial year. So you can build the CSR capacity within yourself, or you can undertake through any of the agency or the institution, subject to the inclusion of any sort of administrative overhead expenditure which shall not exceed 5% of the CSR activity. The contribution to political party section 182 shall not be a CSR. Talking about Schedule 7 of the Act, it says, now this is just exact copy of Schedule 7, so there is nothing added on my side or nothing amended. So you can also look for Schedule 7 in your respective book or the reliable sources over the Ministry of Corporate Affairs webpage. So that is eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, providing health care, including preventive health care, sanitation, including Swachh Bharat Kosh set up by CG. Now the next is promoting education, including special education, employment, enhancing education, skill capacity among the children, women, educating differently able, and enhancement project, living enhancement project, providing gender equality, empowering women, setting up homes, hostels for women, children, and orphanages, setting up old age home, daycare centers such as facility for senior citizen, measure for reducing inequality faced by backward groups, ensuring environmental sustainability, ecological balance, protection of flora and fauna, and and where agroforestry, conservation, natural resources, and maintaining the quality of soil, air, water, including contribution to Ganga Fund set up by CG. Protection of national heritage, art and culture, restoration of building and sites of historical importance and works of art, setting up by the public, lib- um, libraries, promotion and development of traditional art and craft, measurement for the benefit of the armed force, veteran war widows and their dependent, training to promote rural stores, national recognized sports, Paralympic sports and Olympic sports. Contribution to Prime Minister National Relief Fund or any other fund set up by central government for socio-economical development and relief welfare scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and other backward classes, minorities and women. Contribution of funds are provided to the technology incubators located within the academic institution which are approved by CG. Rural development projects, slum area development, slum shall be treated the area declared by CG or SG or any competent authority being in force. Talking about the CSR expenditures shall be 2% of the average net profit preceding the financial year. If the company fails to spend such amount, the reason shall be given in the board report. Company to give uh, preference to the local area around which it operates. Expenditure incurred by the foreign company in India will qualify for CSR by a Indian subsidiary company. How about computing of net profit that we as per 198, which is also used for the purpose of calculating remuneration for directors, whole-time directors, and managers. Every company will have to report its standalone net profit to determine whether it triggered the criteria under 135 or not, which is this. In the case of Indian company, in the case of foreign company, while computing the profit, branches shall be excluded and dividend received from another company. These amounts shall be excluded while calculating uh, the checking the criteria. And in the case of foreign company, exclude the overseas branches and branch that work separate, and so that the so the project office have in India working along shall be considered for the calculation of profit. If there is a project in India that is working on, that has to be considered, but where working is separate or the overseas branches, that has to be excluded. Talking about the disclosure, the brief outline of the CSR policy including overview of project proposed to be utilized, reference to the web link of the CSR policy, composition of CSR committee, average net profit of the company in last 3 years, just to make sure that the 2% has contributed of the average net profit. Prescribe CSR expenditure, detail of CSR spent during the year in case of company fails to spend. Provide the reason thereof, a responsibility statement that the CSR monitoring and implementation is in compliance thereof. So this was the entire section 135, the complete video. You will have the entire revisionary company law by the end of hopefully by the end of this month. For the purpose of chart or any queries, there's a link for WhatsApp group. Please do join, and you will get regular updates. Thank you.